Okay. Hey, Pritesh.
Hello, is this Simone?
Yebo.
Hi, I've taken over Pritesh's account for the day. This is Sneh, just part of the Loeries admin. So I'll be just presenting the holding screen, as you can see. So
Perfect. How are you? Hey, Dani.
Hi, guys.
How are you? Wait, let me just do this because I'm like literally just like.
Oh, that's fun. How you doing, guys?
Daddy, your hair looks amazing.
Thank you. My hairdresser was like, "You're coming to see me." I was like, "Why?" She's like, "I've been on Instagram. You have a thing." I was like, "Okay."
You have a thing.
Yeah. How's it going, guys?
Good, and you?
Good. Your hair looks amazing.
I had an interview this morning, but I didn't have my hairdresser, so I had to do it myself, which is why there's this weird
It looks amazing. You can come to my house and do mine if you like, anytime.
That sounds like fun. Pritesh,
We
your
would
hair
just
also
laugh, really. Hey?
No, I'm saying, Pritesh, your hair looks amazing too.
Oh no,
yes.
But that's not Pritesh. That's
is that Sneh?
Hi,
So
Suhana.
how are you, babe? How's it going?
Sorry, I missed that.
I said, how are you, Simone?
Oh no, I'm good. I'm like, these meetings via Zoom, it's boring now, man, you know?
God, I just want to get in my car and go somewhere pointless and get stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Stu? How's it all going? Are you packing up and locking up and it's all fine?
I'm the biggest procrastinator on earth. So I packed 2 boxes. Then my family undid the entire box by saying to me, "Why are you packing your CDs and DVDs?" I was like, "Fine, I'll get rid of them." So
oh no,
I'm terrible at packing. I'm too sentimental.
I'm too unsentimental. That's my problem. I just throw things away and then I wonder why I don't have more stuff.
I think it's better to be unsentimental.
I don't know.
I
did find a whole packet of photos last night of my dad. And it really catches you, you know. And then I was like, but why don't I have more? I don't understand. I had hundreds.
Yeah.
Photos are the one thing I am sentimental about. I think it's the imagery. I can't let go of the moments, the images. Yeah. And I found a card that he wrote me. I found a couple, but I found one I hadn't seen last night. And actually, it's really nice to find that stuff.
Yeah, and to see their handwriting. It's
yes. And touch it.
It got me. And also like reading old cards, and like I saw like old love letters of boys that actually liked me.
Ben.
Oh, look, there are people that liked me. So that took a while.
Lots of people like you. I like you.
Thanks. Hi, Mom. You are doing amazing, says Cooper.
Oh, thank you, Coop. I reckon he'll last for 10 minutes. He's in the lounge.
Oh, man. Hey, Cooper, you're so famous. You're like one ad with all our famous babies.
Oh, I love my baby. He's so cool. How's your baby, Tim? I mean, we're talking 3 now, right?
He turned 2.
Oh my God.
He's a nonsense. He's busy.
He's right on time to be a nonsense at 2.
Like, if I'm gonna show you my bite marks, like what you guys see on
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, beautiful.
Hey, look at you, gorgeous.
I mean,
how you doing?
You know, I'm good.
No, you look hot. I love the hairstyle. I'm thinking the same thing too. I'm like, I hope we actually make sense.
Is there anything we shouldn't talk about, ladies, or no? Is it all?
No, it's all open. I mean, it's called open chat. So the
Hey,
idea
Sue.
is to be provocative, is to, say what we want to say, because I think that's kind of especially for the younger people, we just need more open conversations, more honesty, things that we don't speak about. So
Yeah.
that's part of it. Snare, I just wanted to ask you, for the Q&A, must they put it in the Q&A section or in the chat section?
They can put it in the Q&A.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
So we've already got some people, I think. And we're going to do 35 minutes between the two of you, where
Cool.
you guys, we're not going to interrupt you. You just ask each other your questions. And then we're going to leave a bit of time to give the audience a chance to ask questions.
Okay, so we decide on our first question.
Yes, let's do that, because I forgot what questions we agreed to ask from the last session.
About how do you select a director to take a brief?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to say, how do you select a director when you've heard the treatment?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can ask about what do you do? Because you're quite interested in what if you don't like the brief?
Yes, I really want to know about, the brief if you don't like it. And also, if you have ever received a brief where you had like stereotypical representation of people, like, the dancing black scripts that we see a lot of. Yeah, those kind of things. Because I'm like, what would you do if you got the Clover brief? Can we mention brands, guys? Are we allowed to mention brand names?
Yes.
I may never work again, but you go right ahead.
Okay, cool. Because I'm like, what would you do if you received the Clover brief? It's those kind of things that people want to know. So I'll ask you that.
I'll judge you if you mention a brand name, only because I have to. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, I also feel the same way.
Certain brand that's involving dairy and
okay, cool.
What happens when you get a brief and you think it's tone deaf or it's or it's whatever? You know what I mean?
Perfect. But I wanted to say.
I think it is happening less and less, but it is still happening.
Mm-hmm. And then I think we must talk about the three-way pitch, if it really is a three-way pitch.
Yeah.
Because I think we touch on, having experienced directors versus the non-experienced directors. Yes. It's a three-way pitch between, the new agencies and new production companies and the experienced production companies. So is it a fair way to brief people? Because
I can also mention free the work there if you want, guys, because that's about like who's at the table.
Yeah. It's a plug, Dani. Plug.
No, you know what the thing is with free the work is that it's not so relevant for agency. I mean, it is, but it's like the plug really is for the creative people. But it's that thing of like it's just about shining a light, and I think we must link it back to open chair. It's about shining a light on who needs a seat at the table, and not pretending that we all have an equal chance to be at the table.
Definitely, and I also think the most important question to ask is like, who decides who gets into the brief? Do you understand? So I think that's like the most murky part of like in any question in terms of like who decides who gets the job from agency side. You know what I mean? Creatives like who puts it, who assigns them, and then who decides to brief which suppliers. How do you make that? It's those are the crucial things that I think. One of the crucial things, and then you can go into like those things. But you guys mustn't hold back. Just talk.
Good luck.
With this is because like our list is actually longer than this. Because we as an industry, we obviously have relationships with different disciplines, very close relationships, but we never have these honest conversations. So for me, this was the opportunity to go like, actually, what is going to the director's mind, or what is going to the creative director's mind? And You know, Dani, do you remember those little videos, those spoof videos they did of like the agency reactions to the diet?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Do you know?
Down the monitor. Yeah.
That thing changed my life. Like now, I'm so conscious of what I say, and I'm like, oh, am I saying the wrong thing? Am I giving like fake answers? Like it's horrible. So that video is kind of like what we want to get into here. Like, what is really going on?
So like where they all applaud, and then he leaves and he goes, "I'm sorry, it just didn't go your way."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Guys, how do I see myself in the screen? I haven't checked my hair.
So do video, click on share video.
Share video, okay. Share screen or video? Start video.
Yeah.
Okay, allow.
Start video, I think it's called. It's like a little camera.
Your mirror.
Oh, there.
Ooh, looking fine, lady.
Okay, I need to move my flowers quickly, guys. Okay.
Oh, it's beautiful. I just want you to know that we already have audience members listening in.
I mean, we're moving flowers. That's what's happening.
The art directing and it's fitting off this to set her scene.
Ah, perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
Give it another 2 minutes.
Can you guys hear me properly? Did you guys bring your own tea?
I bought water.
No, you're not supposed to tell the audience that. It was meant to be in a teacup, remember? So they don't see what we're sipping on.
Hey, Mukondi said she was
so boring. Since November. Nothing.
Yes.
Not a drop.
Woo! I've brought my tea.
With more.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
It's adult tea.
So you're going to introduce us, hey, Sue and Sims?
Yeah, I think we'll let you guys, we'll do a brief introduction, and then you guys can also just say a bit about yourselves, and then we'll kick off.
Sorry, my son is...
He's also welcome.
He's also
It's
welcome.
Cooper online. Hey, Coops. Hello. Okay, he's watching. Yay! Thank you, Cooper. At least he's listening to my brief. Thank you. Let us do this.
No one in my house knows how to behave. It's hilarious.
All right, I think we should get started. It is 1 o'clock on the dot. The noon gun would have fired in Cape Town. So let's get going. Tim, do you want to start?
Very cool. So, sorry, clear my throat. Okay, cool. So welcome everybody, and thank you for spending your lunchtime with us, drinking tea as Nobantu is doing right now. I'm not sure what's in that teacup, but it will definitely allow her to speak it and spoke it and do all these things. So thank you so much, guys. So yeah, like this is the first time that we are doing something a little bit different from what Open Chair usually does. So Open Chair, our platform is for young people, young women in the industry, have some face time with more of the senior, not old, but more experienced women in the industry, to have face time with them and ask questions, and to learn and to take that information into taking their careers forward. But for this month of Women's Month that we are celebrating, we've decided let's switch it up a little bit and actually have face time with two leading industry heads from different disciplines, and giving them time to be able to ask each other questions and allowing you to get more insights as well. So Anna, I don't want to talk much. Okay, cool.
So we're very lucky to have worked closely with both these amazing ladies. And I'll start with Dani. Dani, started her career as a copywriter. She is incredibly witty, and if you spend time with Dani, you will be laughing all the time. You'll still be laughing at the previous joke and the next one. And if you're slow, you might not be laughing because she's that quick. You have to keep up with her. But she's also an amazing director who I've never seen people who can work with actors the way she does. Totally, like, the ability to get performances out of her actors is amazing, whether it's a little 5-year-old to an adult to Trevor Noah. I mean, like, you can basically work with anyone. So it's really amazing to have Dani on board. We wanted to bring people from different disciplines, so a director and a creative director. Nobantu, I first met Nobantu at FCB, where she started as a senior art director and then got promoted to creative director. And I think there's a lovely similarity between the two because both women are not afraid to share their voice, their opinions. And, you know, today, just in the spirit of Women's Month, I think it's really, really important to have that right ability to share your views and speak up. And that's what both women have. Nobantu is hilarious. I find her also incredibly funny. She doesn't even have to do much. A lot of it is just in her face. But she's also one of the most dedicated creatives I know, very committed to her craft, especially, which is a dying thing in advertising these days, but really somebody who gives a lot of love to what she does. And she's one half of Team Pen and Pencil, who's well known in the industry. So that's it from my side. Please, we'd like you to put questions as the audience members. Hear your questions in the Q&A. And in the last 10 minutes of this call, we'll turn to your questions and Dani and Nobantu can answer them. And then over to you guys, if you don't mind just giving a little more about this. Then
do you want to go first?
Yes, I don't mind. Hello, everybody. Hi. I am Nobantu Sibeko. For those of you who don't know me, I am a creative director, like Johanna has said. I currently work at FCB, one of the leading agencies in South Africa. And yeah, I am a lover of a good story. So throughout my whole career, I have tried and aimed to tell a very good story. So you can call me a creative storyteller at the same time. Something you don't know about me is I am highly allergic to chicken, but it doesn't mean that I can't work on chicken brands. I can sell chicken, guys. I can sell KFC. All the chicken brands can still call me. I just can't eat your brand. That's the thing. So yeah, very nice to meet everybody.
Cool.
16.
I'm Dani. I am a director, like Johanna said, and yeah, I've been doing it for years and love it. And started a company with two amazing partners, Melanie and Dumi, and I'm also Cooper's mom. And I'm afraid of geckos, which is something that most people don't know about me. Highly terrified. Okay, Nobantu, I'm gonna come at you.
Yeah, but. Okay, cool. But you said those geckos are weird though. Have you seen them? It's like you're trying to be a snake or you're trying to be a lizard. So you're like, it's a confusing animal. And then it runs fast. It runs very fast. So I'm also afraid of geckos.
Yeah, it's not cool. Okay, so I'm going to start with our first question, which is the burning question on every director's mind. How do you select a director to brief on a script?
How do you select a director? I go eeny, meeny, money, mo. Just joking, no. No, you don't. First of all, you look at what are the requirements of the brief. So you look at, is it a TV brief? Is it a TV with some content pieces that you need to create? Is it a TV brief that requires photography at the same time? So you look at those first requirements of what is the brief. And already, just by answering those questions, you've already like closed off and narrowed down the type of directors you can use and work with. Then after that, you look at what story you're trying to tell, so is your TV script about, is it an emotional kind of script or does it require comedy? Is it what kind of story you're trying to tell? So already it tells you what kind of directors who can deliver on that kind of treatment for you. And then after that, it comes down to who are the directors available to work with, to work on the brief, you know? Who are the directors do you feel will be able to answer your brief and also bring your story best to life? I think we always forget that when you're briefing a director, you're not just briefing somebody to just shoot it and, you know, eat toasted cheese on set. You know, you're looking for somebody who will look at your story and then improve on it and make it better. So you ask yourself those questions first. And then it goes down to all those different types of directors. And if you're looking at their show reels and you're looking at the work they've done, then you're able to see, okay, actually, Dani is good at comedy and also doing an emotional piece, so I'm going to call her in. Also, maybe because it's got local nuances and there's a bit of, you know, sort of like vernac and other stuff that's, you know, only a director's lived experience will get, then you call in that kind of director. So it depends on what kind of story you're trying to tell and what are the requirements of that brief. So already, like for what I just said, it's just narrowed the playing field to a limited number of directors, you know, who can do that kind of work.
Cool. So then my next question is, once you've heard the treatments, what is it? So, I mean, we were talking earlier in the week about how, you know, you can sit through a treatment and people can applaud and like basically stand up and just start like yelling about how amazing you are. And then the job goes to someone else. So for a lot of directors and a lot of production companies and a lot of people who come in from my side of the process, that can be quite confusing. So could you shed a little bit of light? Because I know that it's not as easy as this. It's not like a simple answer because I've been a creative myself.
Yes.
Maybe go through for the people who are not in the room, who haven't been in the room before you select a director, like what happens in that process for the creatives?
So did the creatives also applaud and stand up and make the same type of noise for all the other directors? You must ask yourself the same question. Because sometimes I've been in rooms where everybody just has like this straight face. We all Anna Wintours with our glasses on because we don't want to give away too much emotion. And then you go home, you're all happy. Yes, exactly. No, but what I've always done is I've always tried to bring in my full team, from production to the junior teams that I'm working with, to even some interns, you know. Sometimes you can bring in, you know, somebody who just happens to be waiting in the lobby outside, you know, just to come in and listen to the treatment because, you know, you know, you just go like, hey, you, what are you doing? Put a suit on. We're going to a treatment. No, but seriously, but I always try to bring in more than one person in treatment, first of all. Because what happens in a treatment is, as creatives, we are emotionally attached to our briefs. We are emotionally attached to the stories that we share with people. So what happens in treatments is that, you know, you also get emotionally attached to what the director and the performance that the director is giving you. So to eliminate, you know, my own biases and not to make just an emotional decision on within the briefing session and treatment, is I try to first bring in other people and hear their opinions of what they picked up, because a production person is going to bring in production points and things that you wouldn't have thought of, because as a creative, I'm just looking at, okay, what camera angles are you going to be shooting, or how have you improved my story? Ooh, what kind of casting directors, the cast you're trying to bring? I look at all those things. The production person looks at different details. So I always ask for opinions from different people in terms of treatment. And then also, you also look for a director who has made effort in taking your script and making it better. Have you gone and brought in something that I didn't think of? Have you added value to my story? So maybe I briefed you on a TV script, but you've also looked at it and thought, okay, maybe there's an opportunity for you to also continue the storytelling on social media. You can do social pieces. Oh, I know your character was, you know, a 35-year-old woman. I'm thinking it would be better if you use an older woman because it will tell a better story. You look for those kind of insights and value that a director is bringing in your treatment, and that's how you then decide, okay, actually, because due to how you've answered the brief, the added value you've brought to my treatment, and also opinions in terms of production value, you know, what else did other people pick up that I couldn't pick up, all of those things actually help me in deciding who I award the job to based on treatments and stuff. So it's not always a one decision kind of thing that most directors think. It's not just the creative who's involved. There's other factors that are involved, and especially when you're also dealing with young directors coming in. I've always said to them, you're only as good as the production team you're bringing in the treatment room. A producer can make or break your treatment as well. Because if it comes to a tie where I've applauded, your treatment, and I've also stood up and cried in the other treatment, and then I've just lost my cool. I am that person. And I'm like, I love your treatment. And the next person, I love your treatment. Oh, other person, you've just made my day. It comes down to production details. So if you've come in with a production house that also has not paid attention and given as much effort into the production details of making what you've sold me come true, then you can also do the treatment based on that. So it's all those factors that actually come into making a decision about who you give the treatment to.
Picture. It's not like one thing.
It's not just one thing. It's not just one thing. So that's what I've always said to directors, like everybody in your team is responsible for getting you the treatment. Because if, like I said, your production is not up to scratch, and there's a few holes in my production, and producers picked up to say, actually, they are saying you need 1.7 million to fly in a camera from Spain, and which means the best cost. It means that what Dani has said in terms of casting the best people is not actually going to work. She's selling you dreams. Meanwhile, your performance and your English was perfect, and that's what I focused on. But at the end of the day, when all of those details come together, then you can easily lose a treatment. Yeah. So it's all those different factors that play, for in my opinion, and how I've approached awarding treatments. Those are the things I look at. Yeah.
I think is that, like, as the director, you kind of go away and think, like, I obviously missed something. Maybe I didn't think of that, or maybe I didn't think of this, or whatever. So I think that part of what's really interesting about what you're saying is that, you can't take it personally. And yes. I have, because I was a creative and I had the benefit of seeing other people's treatments before, it's something that I've been very lucky with, and that I kind of know that sometimes it might be something uber practical, like they came in at whatever less, or they promised one more shoot day or whatever, but it can also come down to, we just made a call on the day about one element that actually has nothing to do with who you are as the director. It's just somebody else thought of one other element that really stood out, and that's why we.
The value, that's what I'm talking about. Did you bring value to the treatment? What other things that you add to make the treatment one step closer and one step above all the other treatments? And that's the difference. Those are little things that actually make a huge impact in treatments. I mean, talking about then, if you got a standing ovation, and the response was very nice in the room and stuff like that, and we're all friends, we all go out for drinks afterwards, and we're like, oh my gosh, I love the treatment, and you still didn't get the job. Did you ever receive feedback from the people who didn't award you the job?
I mean, I think it's a really good question. I think I've only looked for feedback a few times. I think that one of the things that's really important as a director, when you are, obviously not much older, like 28 like me,
yeah,
jokes. I think that what you learn is you exercise your rights to never know. Do you know what I mean? It's like part of what I love about the job is that, yeah, we've had feedback, but often the feedback is kind of, for me, a treatment's like a live theater show. It's like the opportunity arrives, and on the day you go into the room, and the chemistry that's in the room is the chemistry that's in the room. And you do the best that you can, and sometimes it's amazing, and you can feel the electricity, and everything's tick, 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 and you get the job. Or sometimes the electricity is amazing, and the chemistry is amazing, and you don't get the job. But that chance has kind of come and gone. There's no like feedback really that can be put into the next show, because all the elements change all the time. So even when you're a briefing director, if there's one more person in the room, if you've already done one treatment, or if you've already briefed somebody and the client has phoned between the first treatment and the third treatment, and they suddenly say, we hate the color green, and my whole treatment is green because somebody in the room said, I really love freshness cues, especially in color, and I come in with green. I don't have the benefits of that conversation because it is a moving organic thing. So that, you know, unless your feedback is something like you always come in over budget, or you always want to go for the Russian arm, or you never want to cast local people, unless it's something that you can address on an ongoing basis, it's really hard to give feedback. It's even hard as a creative to find feedback that affects the job because, you know, like it's a moving target. And I think that the people who want to be directors in the group, who like are younger directors or currently even directors with lots of questions, it's a little bit like, I know we always make jokes about being ghosted, but it's a little bit like you can't get the closure because there isn't any to give you. It's literally, they just weren't as into you as they were to someone else.
But you still want closure though. I feel like you must. Even if you ghosted me, I am going to send you an email asking you why you ghosted me. Don't ghost me, guys. Don't ghost people.
I think that's relational. I don't think it's about the job. I think it's about me phoning and saying, please don't feel weird about me not getting the job so that you still brief me on the next job. It's about our relationship. It's about our way of, you know, I really like to phone and wish people well on the job, even when we don't get it, because I know.
That's so nice.
No, it's not about being nice. Like I genuinely mean it. Because a job, I always say there's 5 jobs. I mean, you've heard me say this a million times. It's the one you write, the one you get briefed on, the one you treat, the one you prep, and the one you shoot. And actually the one you finish. Because at any one of those stages, the job can change completely. So I do wish people well, because the more better work that's out there, the more we all learn, the more we all get better. But I think that, you know, I'm a little bit lame because I say things like, you know, it's about making sure that you do the best with the opportunities that you get given. Do you know what I mean? And I think that that's the most important thing.
And I hear you in terms of that it's being relational. It's a relation thing, because we've got a very good relationship that we've built over the years. And it's also, but I also think it comes down to respect as well. Because my thing is respect the effort that has gone and been made by a production company and the director, you know. You guys don't just walk into a treatment and just, you know, suck your thumb and say, I wish, you know, to make a flying house with balloons. It's planning, it's talking to people in the industry. A lot of work goes into it. So for me, when giving back and sharing feedback, it isn't to say, you know, fix this and then we'll guarantee that you get the next job. It's to also help you to improve and to say, you know, the reason that you didn't get this job today, you know, you can improve and work on for the next thing. I think it's also a respect thing to say, you know, thank you for the effort, but I've also put thought into what I want, and, you know, and this is why.
What I was saying is that I have had people send me feedback, unsolicited feedback, which has been very useful, because it's like they have analyzed where the decisions were made and how they were made, and just you know, feedback is important when it's comes from a place where it's like an honest account of what you think and feel. And so when people send it, I mean, I've had beautiful emails and amazing kind of phone calls and SMSs where people have said, like, we feel really bad that you didn't get the job, and this is why we decision. So that is great, but I also think it's not a great idea to put a creative on the spot for an answer that actually may not lead anywhere better. Probably just better to say, I wish you the best with the job, and I hope that we get to work together in the future, because I do see how I feel. So I think that what you're saying is, yes, we put a lot of money and a lot of effort and a lot of time into those pitches. It's not like we just randomly turn up with an 87-page document.
I mean, some people do, but we're not talking to them.
No, but I also think that that's okay, because it's a learning curve. So I think that feedback, when it is anything, feedback, reaching out, whatever, when it's genuinely generated, I think it's impactful. But when you're putting somebody on the spot and they don't have an answer for you, I don't know that you're going to get the closure you're seeking. And sometimes it's okay to not know, because in the not knowing, you reach yourself. for the next best way to do something. And we're naturally creatives and directors, we are creative people, so we naturally reach for solutions. That's how it's done. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that unsolicited feedback is often very helpful because it's thorough and thought through. Yes. And when you put someone on the spot, I know I hated it as a creative. When you put someone on the spot and they don't have an actual answer for you, I mean, then it's just, it makes it a bit weird.
And it makes it awkward because I'm like, just giving feedback itself and breaking people's hearts, because I always like, it's a three-way pitch, and two people are not going to get the job, so somebody's going to have their heart broken. And I'm not talking about personal experiences, but people, let's not ghost each other. Let's talk about ghosting, because I mean, it is awkward, but I'm like, do not ghost people. If you're not into me, just tell me so that I can move on and go after the next big brief. It's a brief. I'm talking about the industry, not personal experience. But, like as creatives, we like I said, we're emotional people. So to not ghost people and not send feedback, what I do afterwards is I wouldn't give feedback inside the room and stuff. I'd say thank you and thank you for the treatment and give, my top line thoughts and reactions. But then afterwards, my producer will then send an email to the directors who didn't get a job with my, my points and reasons why you didn't get a job. It's better than being ghosted, guys. Don't ghost people. It's not cool. Don't get far in life. It's a small industry.
I would also encourage people, though, who do get ghosted, because it does happen. Do you know what I'm going to lie? I'm not this amazing feedback because it's not true. The big thing is that you kind of need to do everything you do as genuinely as possible. You know what I mean? Like, it's not helpful to do something that you're not comfortable with. Like I don't believe in reaching out to people that you don't have a connection with. I think that one of the things that really has been helpful for me and has helped me grow is that I can be okay with not knowing why I didn't get a job. I mean, does it hurt? Yes, it does. Because by the time I've put on your job, I've already had an emotional connection to it in order to give you a treatment that counts. You feel the same way about a script. We were talking about it the other day. Like by the time you sell a client a script, you've lost and gained 12 kilos. You've reconsidered hydroponic farming. You kind of like reconsider bashing your head against the wall. So like if you pitch an idea to a client and they never get back to you, it's also shit. It is. But I think that because we deal in emotional intelligence, I think that what we need to do is be who we are within the industry. And that kind of brings me to the next thing that we want to talk about, which is it really a three-way pitch? Like, are we really people because we believe they have a real chance of getting the job?
So like with three-way pitches, let's just talk about why we have three-way pitches in the first place, right? From the creative point of view. So from the creative point of view, I want to make sure that I've explored every single possibility of bringing that job to life, right? I want to give my client the creative options because with creative stories, there are different ways in. There's different perspectives that you need to consider, right? And when you get the brief, I've considered a certain perspective. Then you brief different directors who can bring in different experiences, skill sets, and something different to this brief. So that's the first reason why we have three-way briefs in the first place. Then there's also are we briefing, like you said, with the intention, though, of awarding those directors that you bring into the briefing room, right? Because I've always said, we all have our preferences. We're not going to lie. In the creative industry, you all have, your preferred directors. You all have your preferred production company that have come through for you, the type of treatments you like and stuff. So, of course, you're going to get those creatives who push for those kind of directors and those production companies, right? And I've always asked then, if you know that you want Dani to work on it, or you want Egg Films, or you want Darlings to work on it and stuff, then why are you literally wasting time with the other two, the cover up story has always been, it's a legal requirement, you need to make sure that in terms of cost and legal factors, that's all covered and stuff like that. But I've always then said to the creative, to directors, you can always tell during a briefing and when you're giving your treatment, when you actually will get the job, or if you stand a chance to get a job. Let me say not will get the job, when you stand a chance to get the job. A creative who plans to award you a job puts effort in their briefing, they put effort in giving the details, they put effort in having conversations with you. You know, you can pick up a phone and you can call them any time of the day and they will discuss and give you insight. If there's anything that is missing in your production details, you know, the production company, the producers will call your production company and everybody will collaborate with you. So already as a director, you can tell that, okay, fine, this is something that, you know, we all want to work on. And whereas other directors, if you're in the room and you're giving a treatment and people are on their phone, you're not getting as much questions, and you're also emotional. My face, I mean, look at my face, I'm emotional. You can see if I like something or don't like something. I try to hide it. It doesn't work. You know, I will try to be like this in a treatment. It doesn't work, but you can tell. So the answer to the question is, you know, in terms of legal and with it depending on the creatives that are briefing you, yes, it is a three-way pitch. But in some instances, and I've experienced it, I've seen it firsthand, it's not always that case. You know, some people have got their own agendas and they've gone in and briefed the people they've wanted to brief. And that's something that we have to deal and manage.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of part of the work that we have as women.
Yeah.
For a while. And I think that, you know, I think that one of the things that's really helpful about conversations like this is how do you make sure that you bring, so I have had this conversation a lot, obviously, because obviously Free the Work, which I am an ambassador for, was Free the Bid. And that was all about like, just have a woman on the tickets, just have a woman on the ticket. And when they approached me, I said, you know, I want to make sure that when I am the woman on the ticket, that I come in and I have a chance to blow people away. And I think that, you know, I think that part of what I love about Open Chair is that it's about leaving the chairs, you know, if you've had to kick your chair out from the boardroom table, pull out another one while you're there. And I think that one of the things that we as a group of people are actually really good at is finding ways to use the relationships that we have to make space for the people who are coming up after us. And I think that we have an obligation to do that. And I think that there was talk of a three-way pitch becoming a four-way pitch, and everyone was talking about the mathematics of it and whatever. I think that there are women, and I'm speaking specifically about women because of where we are, not because I don't think that there are men who deserve a seat at the table. And that's a separate conversation. But I do think that there are young women who need us to speak about making that a more open-minded, more fair shot at being at the table. And it starts with like, I know that friends of mine, like really good friends of mine, couldn't tell you 3 ads that I've shot. Because when I was younger, used to have to watch all the show reels of everyone in the room. So then it became about like, what are you good at and how, you know, do you diversify on your show reel? And is everyone aware of what you can do and what you can't do? And so I think that platforms like this, where we can show the work we've done, is important, because I'm constantly surprised by the work and the skill and the craft that a group of female directors, I mean, I really can't give you an actual number, but it has grown exponentially since I started working as a director. The number of amazing, young, cool, female, women of color directors who have not only like earned their seat at the table, but who could give you a fantastic job. And I think that that's something that would be really nice to build that bridge between creatives and production, where we are all making sure that we look hard at what the women in the room are capable of. Because I know I've been surprised as a woman. I've been like, my mind is blown at the skill and the talent and the beauty that these women can make, you know. And I think that for anyone who's a young female director kind of coming up the ranks, I think that, you know, kind of getting your skin toughened and kind of being who you are and standing confidently, and for female creatives as well, standing up to, you know, to the idea that, you know, their scripts aren't as dynamic or as amazing or as diverse or whatever. I think that it's a very exciting time now to see women speaking up women, because I think that that's how we make a three-way pitch count, that everyone has a bite at the pie, because everyone spends the same money, everyone spends the same time, and everyone has to be encouraged to put their best foot forward. Because I know that I've won a job not so long ago where they had already awarded the job to someone else, but they had made a time to see my treatment and then had to phone people and cancel the award of the job because they liked the treatment so much. So having a seat at the table doesn't mean, whether or not you were first choice or not, doesn't mean you can't surprise people. But it can't be the norm. It can't be that you just got a seat at the table because, but we still need to open, is my point.
Yes, I think you touched on something very important, which is we have to be deliberate and intentional about the seats that we are creating, and who is occupying those seats at the same time. Because I think another thing that makes the question of, you know, who gets the treatment, which directors are actually going to get briefed, is if you also look at the creative, you know, industry and the creative agencies, who are the decision makers within those boardrooms in the first place, you know? So it's all well and good that, you know, we can invite female directors and be inclusive in our three-way pitches and stuff like that. But if the decision makers are still the same holders of the industry and they still pushing their agendas and still wanting to award it to their friends and stuff like that, then we have to be more deliberate, intentional. I mean, hello?
Issue of courage. Like if you fought really hard to get a script to a certain point, and you kind of sit back and you go like, who could do an amazing job? We know for sure that we would get the job that would be amazing from these people, which is to say that those people have earned their stripes, they do an amazing job and they're incredible. But if just one of those seats was left as a real wild card, you know, and everyone was open to being surprised, I think that part of how we all need to help each other find the courage in those moments is to understand that, you know, like, absolutely it's an issue of, I've been a creative where I've kind of gone, I know what I'm going to get and it's going to be amazing. And that's how I imagined it. So whenever I went outside of what I had imagined, I was always surprised by how much I enjoyed the experience. So it's exactly what you're saying. It's having the intention to override what's easy or sure and stepping out. And I think our clients have a little bit of a hand in giving us that courage as well.
So it's when I say intentional and deliberate, it's taking it even a step further than that, you know, because I feel like as creatives, you know, we are courageous people already, you know. In terms of what we do, we get rejected every single day. So you need to be brave to come and show up and comb your hair and put a bit of lip and talk English, you know, on a webinar. That's courage already, you know, that kind of thing. So it's not about courage. I think we all have the substance. We all have the ability. And I think as directors, you know, when you come into a treatment, you already know you're in the room because you're good at what you do. What we need in terms of being intentional and be even more deliberate is that, for example, at FCB, we've got a new policy. Well, it's not a new policy because when Ahmed came in, he did like, he looked at the scope of work we've been producing, and he was like, the number of directors who are awarded a job in terms of Black directors, female directors, as opposed to the white, you know, directors. And he made it a mandate to say, in your treatments, you need to include a Black director going forward. I mean, so now at FCB, we've got the policy that says in your three-way treatment, it has to include a Black director. There's still more work to be done. I think it's a good direction, a good step in the right direction, but it is a small step in the right direction. We need to still kick more doors in. We need to be more aggressive in terms of the policies we're putting in place. that says it should be more, and we need to be more defined in those terms and conditions. You know, it needs to be as defined as you need to include Black-owned businesses in your treatments. You need to include Black female directors. You need to include, you know, members of the LGBT community in order to bring about transformation. Because the thing is, on paper, you still have creative agencies where the decision makers are not intentional with bringing about the transformation. So you can have free the work, free the bid, and all these powerful platforms. But our platforms and all these platforms are null and void if the agencies and the industry itself is not transformed. So I'm like, you know, the policies are helping. You know, having those kind of, you know, defined regulations and things will help us take a step further in ensuring that, you know, the three-way pitch between all females that you call in will be a fair three-way pitch, and that they do stand a fair chance of winning a big, and also of winning the brief. Let me finish my sentence first of all. Let's start there. Let me finish my sentences before I go to the next point. And then it leads me to my next point. I'm getting excited, so I'm not finishing my sentence. So I'm like, so that's the first step. And also, like, in terms of, you know, the three-way brief, treatments and pitches, I've always also asked directors, you know, what kind of briefs are you getting? So it's all well and good that I'm inviting Dani, I'm inviting all the female Black directors, I'm inviting Black directors, but I'm inviting them to pitch on a script that is perceived to be for Black people, you know? They're going to tell another Kasi story about another FMCG brand where people are going to be happy, hardworking mother. Are we also briefing and giving opportunities to people on the big brands, you know? Are we giving them the opportunities and on the big international campaigns, you know? Am I calling them in to come work on the big, I can't say brand names, hey, on like a cool drink, a soft drink, a popular soft drink brand that's got international agencies across the world, you know? That's another thing in terms of, are we actually creating fair opportunities for everybody? And unfortunately, some people have been making sincere is my word, efforts, and some people haven't. So yeah.
That brings me back to my point. Maybe courage is the wrong word. Maybe it's about not relying on what you know, and everybody taking a step out of their comfort zone, because that's where the growth is. You know what I mean? And I think that there are, I would like to think that we're smart enough and have enough EQ to not be exclusionary, but to be more inclusionary in how we allocate the jobs and the work. Because there is, what I love about the industry is that just like there's a place for every creative, there's a place for every director, there's a place for every production house. And I think that that's the work we have to do. We have to kind of really dig deep when we have a board and really educate ourselves, me included, on, like, I don't know every ad that you've made, yet I expect you to watch my showreel. So it's like, it's got to be a way of working where we understand what we can each bring to each process, and whether we win the job or not, we get to know each other in the process. Because I think that brings me back to the point about being genuinely in the process. I think it's about using every script, every brief, every pitch, every treatment, every interaction with clients, to make sure that we're doing our best as people to make sure no one is left outside the room when there's an open next to us.
Yes. I think also we need to have a level of accountability, you know, because I think with the reasons why we're coming out with policies and mandates, and you've got, you know, CCOs like Ahmed, whose whole mandate is transformation, and, you know, you've got Suhana, who's championing the female voices and creating platforms like this for us to be represented and stuff. It all also leads down to the accountability, and who do we hold accountable for the lack of transformation? Because what you're seeing is that you've got the corporate side, which is the clients are asking for more creative Black, female voices and representation in agencies, and people are creating the work. So therefore, the agency should have more representation, right? In terms of the scripts that you're presenting. So by us also being transformed, then we should be putting pressure on, the production companies to say, but where's the Black female director? Or, okay, fine, if you don't have it, are you making steps to improve one? Are you mentoring anybody? Do you have plans to hire anybody in that stuff? So I think you're coming up with all these policies and stuff because nobody's been held accountable. We've been drinking tea, laughing, shaking hands, making deals over bribes and not making the steps to make transformation because nobody gets punished or there's no accountability or repercussions for the lack of transformation, except for all the work where you see dancing Black people and blue people in ads. I
feel like that's not the same thing at all.
I feel like it is. I just want to...
I think the accountability for anyone who's listening today is what can I do to play my part? And I think it's as simple as educate yourself on what's out there. Educate yourself. Get to know the people you don't know.
Yes.
It's really going to make your frame of reference better, bigger, and get to know the people you do know in a way that you don't. Like we've worked together a lot. But I don't know enough about the work that you've done. And, everyone gets busy, everyone gets into their own sort of tunnel vision. And I think that one of the things that certainly like Free the Work and Open Chair and all these things, that's really important is, somebody's just mentioned, like we also need to bring our clients on board. And I think that that's really important, and the more we stand our ground as genuinely as we can and as much as we learn about the people we don't know, and the more we learn to live in our discomforts, the more will change. Do you know what I mean? Like no one has any answers, but everyone needs to start trying something.
Yes.
Yes. I think that
yes. Yes, it's sincere effort. It's sincere effort where you want to. The reason why we're still having these conversations is because the reality is some people don't want to. It's comfortable in their seats. Their seats are warm. But now that time is over. So it needs to be sincere. You need to also want to be part of the change. So you can bring about the change.
Need to do as much as they can. Know better, do better. That's always my thing. Like if you know better, do better.
Do better. Like, don't ghost people. If you're going to take out anything from this conversation, guys, do not ghost people. I just also want to go back to ghosting people. We are adults. Let's talk to each other. Tell me why you don't want me. Tell me why you didn't answer my text. Just joking. So we're talking about being comfortable. Have you ever been called in for a briefing where, you looked at the script and you were just like, this creative, no. The story's not making sense. And also, like, in terms of not making sense, it's just wrong. It's totally deaf. It's not relevant. I mean, there's stereotypes in there that shouldn't be there in 2020. Have you ever had that kind of brief? Because if you look at the type of work we see now, I'm like, where was the director? Who made that? Who decided to take that brief and make that work?
We do see stuff like that. I know we're running short of time, but I'll answer this very quickly. We do see stuff like that. And I think that part of my know better, do better thing, which I'm vigilant about, actually, to the point of being irritating, I would hazard a guess, to both Mel and Dumi, because, I like learning, and I like growing, and I like finding out more about how to be better as a human in general. And I think that when I see those boards, I have a moral obligation to say, I know you guys have made a commitment to make this board, but I'm going to give you my feedback. When I feel really strongly, I have said, I'm going to give you my feedback, and I'm going to risk our relationship because I care enough about our relationship to hand you the truth. Because if no one's going to call it, and I've also made mistakes where I haven't seen it. And I learned from those mistakes, and I have not called them out at the time. And I've always regretted not doing that. But where I am now at 43 years of age, which is really lovely actually, because I can say how I think and feel.
Woo!
I can say genuinely, I will come with you to your clients and share with you what I know. Because it just takes one voice for someone else to find their voice. And I'm not perfect at it. And I think that I mean this across all things that we need to learn about. But I think that, you know, I think that where we are not able to say what we feel, we really need to say what we think.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important thing for me, is that if you're not in a room where you feel that you can say, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
In the same way that feedback works, I would leave the room and I would say, I have issues with the script, and so I'm going to choose to walk away. And if somebody follows up with me and wants to have a human conversation about that, I'm totally available. It's not a great financial decision always, but it's a great human decision. And I'd rather be anyone who struggles financially than a financially sound person who struggles to be human. And that's kind of the basis of kind of how we make all of our decisions.
Yeah.
So that for me is, if you're going to make ads that make people feel something, then you know where you stand on how people feel.
And I think from production, like what you said, is from the production side, it's very, some may say it's privileged to be able to walk away from jobs if you're trying to build, you know, a company and stuff like that. But at the same time, what you said is you're also building a reputation in your brand, you know. What do you want to be known for? Because those kind of briefs and stories can also do more damage for you in the long run than it is to walk away from it. I know it's very hard to say no to money, and it's also hard for us creatives to say no to client, but yeah.
Your point is good, because I think we can't judge anyone who didn't walk away.
Who don't walk away, yeah. But like you said, I think if we're all collaborating, then it makes it easier for us to make less of those mistakes and have less blue people on screens and dancing blacks and all those things on screens, if we're all collaborating and actually working together. So don't blame the agency or the director if, you know, something goes wrong. I think
that's a good point. Like, it's no one's fault,
because everybody's involved.
One person to go,
yes,
is it good?
Yes.
Q&A time, Suhana.
Q&A, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how fast 35 minutes can go by, because actually this is a 2-day discussion. But we also wanted to get some audience participation in, because there's actually quite a few questions, and we've got 10 minutes. So we're going to ask you to answer them. And I don't want it to be like, oh, Nobantu, you must answer, or only Dani. Just please answer as you see fit. The first one comes from Anonymous, who asks, how much influence does the client have on choosing the director?
Dani, I'm going to try answer that. The client has huge influence. Clients really do have huge influence, because they are the brand custodians. They know what they want to achieve. So I know that once we have chosen and made a choice of which director, we have to go present. Well, in our agency, we have to go present the directors to the client. So clients actually do have a huge say on what you shoot, who you choose, who you brief. And I think also we can give kudos to some of the clients, because for the transformation you see in agencies, because it has been the clients who've actually said, I want to see a Black creative director. I want to see a Black director shooting this. So yeah, clients really do have a big influence. And I think what Dani was saying earlier on is that it is also important to or somebody said it, I think, to have relationships with clients, because those are the clients who move around and work on different brands and influence, the transformation in different industries. So yeah, they really do have a huge thing.
Quickly is that Free the Work have managed to get huge corporations on board in terms of female directors. So, I mean, we don't want to speak about brand names, but it's well known fact that Diageo, for example, insist on there being female directors in the room. So there are corporations that are now making mandates that kind of get platforms like this. So that is quite interesting as well.
Yeah.
It's always it's awful though to be the director who knows the client personally, who's insisted that they're in the room. If there's clients listening, please don't do that to us.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I've had that in the past, and believe me, as creators, we're not afraid not to award your friend the job, based on treatments and stuff. You just make it harder for yourself to have dinner with that person later on, and explain to them why you didn't get the job. Don't do that, guys.
So ladies, we've got like 8 minutes. So another question, I think it goes back to what you guys have spoken about in terms of like, looking at scripts and, who did it, if it's not great, if it's, so the question is, do you guys involve market researchers on the brands you're producing for? To what extent do you inquire about the consumers who use the brand just to have an idea of who they are, how long they've been using the brand, etc.? I suppose it's more like for consumer events, and I think it's something both of you can answer, because it'll be interesting to see from your perspective, agency, Nobantu, like what that means, and from the directing perspective, actually getting the real people and telling the story. So you both can take a jab at that.
Cool. Dani, do you want to start or should I start?
I think you should go.
Okay, I'm going to go quickly. So from an agency side, before we even get briefed as creatives, there's a lot of research and data and insights the strategy team have done, and the work that I've done before you even get the creative brief. So in terms of researching that's where it starts. And then the client also does their own research on the side. So all of those factors sort of like are included in the creative brief. And then I know for particular brands, they also do more research in terms of, after you've shot an ad, it goes into research in terms of like your Cantors and your Millwood Browns, who do more targeted research and stuff like that. So in terms of all of that research and insights, and even with the directors, I know in your treatments and stuff, you've got research teams that help you, build a treatment all together. So in terms of that, that's the amount of research and insights and stuff that goes into creating a piece of work.
And then sometimes even after it's created, it goes back into research. That's always really
for another 6 months. Yes, it's not a fun process, but yeah. Which is, it's a good and bad thing, because like you say, you spend 6 months making something, then goes back to research and gets taken apart based on that feedback, which is not a good thing. And then also a good thing if you get good research and you can improve on something. But yeah, it's a lot of researching we do in this industry. I think we spend more time researching than producing.
You can always learn something, hey Nobs?
Yeah,
you can always learn something about something you didn't know before.
True.
It's often disregarded, maybe too quickly by us. But I think that there are often the odd nuggets of insight that really help to kind of
yes,
which is like, you can learn how to do stuff better.
Yes, true.
Stuff is big,
Yeah, but also as creatives, we that is our juice, the money maker for us is consumer insights, because our ideas and stories that we tell are based on human insights and lived experiences. So as a creative, if you're doing your job well, it's also, you're going to consider, all the human truth and insights from other people and consumers and stuff. So yeah, cool.
Cool. Our next question is from Mamei. It's, hello ladies, what advice can you share? Hi. Hello. What advice can you share for young and upcoming directors?
Get as much time on set as you can, and get as much time in a boardroom as you can. And I mean, I have an email address. You're welcome to contact me anytime you like. It's kind of a little bit bigger than 3 minutes worth, but one of the things I'm super interested in is helping people to get their foot in the door. So if you want to have a conversation, I'm very happy to set up a time to do this with you privately. I mean, I think the same is true, hey Nobs, for anyone who's interested in becoming in advertising. It's hours. And if you can imagine doing anything else, do that. because as amazing a job as it is, and it's the best job in the world, in my opinion, it's soup's hard. But I think that it's certainly been apart from having my son, it's probably been the best decision of my adult life.
Yes. I mean, also, like, my advice would be get yourself a very good producer. You know, start taking these producers, you know, take them out for dates, get to know them, spend time with them. Because like I said, it's you're only as good as a producer. They can make and or break your treatments. They are the reasons. They have access to the industry, and they've experience in the industry, and they can open doors for you. So my first thing is get yourself a very good producer. And also, like Dani said, yes, take them out, you know, like woo them. Don't ghost them. Answer their text messages. Be a nice person with the producers. And also, don't wait for the brief. Don't wait for the opportunity. So what we're looking for in the industry as well is we don't get big budgets anymore. So we're not getting the big TV budgets like we used to. So we're looking for directors who can do more than one thing. You know, you can shoot TV, you're creating content. You've got content platforms. Use those platforms to showcase your work. You know, so put yourselves out there, and you know, somebody will recognize you and you'll get the call. But yeah, that's my advice. Producer, production companies.
Changed my life.
Get yourself a very good one.
Yeah, I have
I think our last question was a time, and I think it's a very important question, especially from a very young person in our audience. And I really think that it's important. It's a very important question. But I do think some people do not know the difference of it sometimes. So the question from Cooper is, what is the difference between a director and a creative director? It's a very important question because sometimes people do not know the difference. Yes. So very great question, Cooper. We kept the best one for last.
Thank you. I'm going to let you start, Nobs.
So the difference between a creative director and a director, the creative director goes in set and eats toasted cheese sandwiches. A director does the hard work and sweats and makes, no, seriously. Creative director it's the similarities, when Cooper, between what we do, because we're both creatives. We both have a creative vision, and we're both responsible in terms of bringing, you know, our stories to life. So that's the similarities between creative director and director. For creative director in my industry specifically, I work in advertising. So I oversee the creative storytelling of a brand. And I also help young creative people like yourself in the industry to come up with good stories. And I work with clients. I then also brief and work with Dani, the director, who then helps to bring the stories I have conceptualized to life. So I hope I've answered your question as best as possible.
And yeah. I wouldn't exist without Nobantu. I wouldn't have a reason to do my job. So thank you for that. Creative directors and producers make my job completely possible. Yes. Thank God. So cool. That was amazing.
Cool. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun.
This was really cool. There's so many questions, but unfortunately,
we will have to do more of these. But you know, if you want to share your email addresses, ladies, on the chat, just do so, because you don't have to. I mean, Nobantu, you said don't ghost. So if you get these questions in the middle of the night, it's now up to you. So, but overall, I just wanted to say thank you to both of you.
Don't ghost.
It's horrible in personal life, even worse in professional. So I just wanted to say thank you to both of you. This has been really insightful. And also, I think that part of the reason was to also make a point about the fact that when we are women creatives and we're in a month of celebrating women, we don't only have to talk about discrimination, because I think that that's kind of, sometimes it's just a pointless discussion when you've got amazing creatives like you in front of us to be able to just do and demonstrate your power and your might. So I think that was also the purpose of this, is to have conversation beyond the stereotypical Women's Month discussions. So thank you for that. Thank you for bringing your time. We always say this about Open Chair. It's people give their time for free. And so thank you. Thank you also to our audience for listening in. And our next session is on the 25th. Should we take a look? No, we're not going to.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for having us, guys.
Thank you. This was dope. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Call me.
Don't ghost. Bye.
Nobantu, call me.
I'll email you. I won't ghost.
Thanks, ladies. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yay!
Yeah, I think that was awesome. Just wait until everybody clears out.
So we can do admin.
It's the fun part. Can we save these questions?
I'm going to quickly take photos of them.
Yes, you can. So everything, so because the whole session was being recorded, it records the chats and the Q&A as well. So it'll all be in the recorded document on the Zoom cloud. That will be available offline, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Because I do think that we can use these questions on our social media platforms now and then just ask them. Oh, there you are.
Hello,
Hi.
That went really well. That was good.
The numbers are really good.
It was amazing. Yeah.
I think we should actually use this time for open chair going forward.
Yeah, I think we must do. Look, I think that from what the audience is saying, we need more of these. We need more of the conversations between the different disciplines. So, Sneh, I know we pitched it to Pritesh and Susie for Loeries Creative Week. Maybe we can alternate between mentorship moments and open chat.
Open chair.
Yeah. So I think we'll just need to have a session where we discuss. We needed to actually have a proper session because we sent them a pitch document, and now we probably need to discuss it to go how many days do we have in Creative Week, and how can we, what slots do we have available, and then we can maybe decide how to split that up.
Yeah, but this helps a lot. I think this time is actually, it works. It really works. The evening part, I think you just want to switch off.
Yeah, evening is hard for people because they're making dinner, looking after kids, the usual.
Okay, cool. So yeah, if we can get, yay. Yeah, the next session is going to be lit because that one, those questions are going to be.
Yeah. So there's a couple of learnings I had from an audio point of view with today's session. We must tell the other speaker to try to not interject while the other person's speaking, even though it's natural, because what happens is it breaks the audio. So it's weird, but it's because it is a nice thing to hear them saying, but it interrupts. And then I think we must do the introductions. It's better to us to do a proper introduction and then let off straight away into the questions. And then this was the audience participation.
Yeah, we need to find a way that we can, one doesn't want to do this thing, man. We're moderating again.
No, so I think we need better briefings to the two people to be able to say, guys, try to keep your answers as not don't let it go on for too long because 35 minutes.
The human race is selfish. It's a fact. So how do we get people to pay attention to what we have to say about sharp conversation, to learn more about race are under attack? You can help.
Okay.
So I think we must when Poonam briefs them, we must give them a bit more detail on the briefing of try to remember to keep your answers, don't go too long because then you answer less questions.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think it was great, guys. That was amazing.
It's a short hour. An hour is actually very short.
Very short. But you know what, Sim, we must talk about it. Maybe we can also do like on the Facebook platform, post the questions that were not answered and ask Dani and Nobantu to give us their answers, and then we put it on there.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm also thinking, that like whatever those questions are, we could just pose it as questions and just see like who else can answer it, you know? Yeah, okay. But anyway, I think
cool.
All good.
Go to my next review.
Yeah, I've got another meeting coming in now. I've just been like, jeepers, these budgets are hectic. Whew, they are getting tiny.
Hey? It's COVID budgets.
No, I got a proper COVID budget now, and I'm like, the nice thing is that like it doesn't need big setups and stuff like that. So we just have to be smart in terms of how we move around, you know. But it's just like, even big, like the brands that you think have a shitload of money, don't. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But it is what it is. One has to adapt and get going.
Yeah, I really want to try and extract quotes from today's talk. So I'll have to listen again because I wasn't taking notes. But at least like 3 quotes per person I'll try and get and send to Lenzo. Cool. And then we can do a post. Okay, I gotta run.
Okay,
thanks,
cool. Thanks
for hosting us.
Thanks, Abe.
Cheers. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.